The weather in Florida should not be a factor as we're now just hours away from a historic mission around the moon. NASA's counting down the hours to the launch of Artemis I. It's the first flight test for NASA's Mega Moon rocket. A successful launch later tonight would be a key milestone for a program that aims to put the first woman and first person of color on the moon. WAAY 31 News is the only local television station at Kennedy Space Center for tonight's historic launch. Let's go live now to Dan Schaefer standing by. Good afternoon, Dan.
All right, thanks a lot, Marie, and good afternoon to you. Did a great job summarizing what this whole Artemis program is going to be. First, we got to get this rocket off the launch pad to get things started. And you mentioned that we are here, and it's important that we are here because the Artemis program was designed, the SLS rocket designed, the Artemis program is managed from right there in Huntsville at Marshall Space Flight Center. The engineers, the technicians, the administrators, they're all our neighbors, and so we are proud to represent them here at this historic launch. The countdown, good news, is proceeding so far without a hitch. They just started the critical tanking procedure. We have some live pictures to show you here from the NASA feed out at the launch pad. They've got great shots of the SLS rocket and the Orion spacecraft on the launch pad. Let's talk about how this thing gets off the ground. You've got two SRBs, the solid rocket boosters on the side of the rocket, those white towers. Those are very powerful. 75% of the thrust is provided by those. Now that orange core stage, that's where the liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen tanks are. Those feed those very thirsty RS-25 engines at the bottom of that core stage. They provide about 25% of the thrust. But right now we have started the very delicate and very slow process of filling those liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen tanks. They're both fuels are at minus 400 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's a very cold fuel, and they have to temper all of that equipment first before they can run those tanks full of that liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. If you hit those tanks with that cold oxygen without tempering them first, they would create all kinds of problems, buckling things, creating leaks, and that's what happened last time. They ran into some problems at this point in the launch with loading that liquid hydrogen. Very small molecule, likes to find leaks, very simple to do. They think they've got that licked, and so far so good. They started that process about 45 minutes ago. It's a long job. There's more than 500,000 gallons of liquid hydrogen, almost 200,000 gallons of liquid oxygen, and it's a slow go, so 3 to 4 hours, but so far so good. We'll keep you posted on that. Other than that, you mentioned the weather. The weather's pretty good. Right now we've got some cloud cover here, but launch control says this will not be an issue, and hopefully in the 8 hours until launch we might clear some of this out. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Right now, countdown clock sits at T-minus 6 hours and 40 minutes. That's T-minus time. The actual launch time almost exactly 8 hours from right now, so there are some built-in holds, and we're in one of those right now. We'll be here live to bring it all to you throughout the evening as we reach these milestones to get this Artemis I rocket off the launch pad. Third attempt, Marie, as you mentioned, hopefully third time's the charm. We'll see. NASA's pretty confident in their abilities out there and the team they have put in place. Live at Kennedy, I'm Dan Schaefer, WAAY 31 News.
All right, thank you, Dan. We sure hope it's going to be a success in just a few hours.